Hello, Steve. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Can you introduce yourself properly?
Yeah. So my name's Steve Harroun. I've been 20 years in the sign industry now, and I have my own company, Harroun Designs, based out of Pittsburgh, PA. I've kind of dealt in almost every aspect of the signage industry. I could pretty much run any of the equipment out there. I've been in wholesale side as sales. I've been a territory rep for a big fabricator, and now I have my own thing going on in Pittsburgh.
Who do you put that to use for? Who's your customer?
So my customers are extremely diverse. I just wrapped up a project for my local church for interior and exterior sign design and wayfinding. That was a design build project. I sometimes partner with local sign shops to fabricate and install my projects. It works out really, really well. All the way up to some of the largest companies in the world.
What do you think some of the challenges are that you're helping them solve, or some problems you run into?
A lot of it is expectation. Right off the get-go, I try to lay out a extremely reasonable schedule. You know, a lot of people don't understand how long the cycle takes from design to installation, right? I try to set those expectations at the onset of the project, and I keep my customers updated along the way. Sure. I think that's one of the major hurdles that I help my customers get through.
How important do you think signage is as part of branding?
Extremely important.
Yeah.
It's the everlasting business card on the outside of your building. It's the foundation for your website. You know, your shirts with your logo on it, your website, your business cards, your letterhead. All of that has a touch point in some place or whatnot in branding. Mm-hmm. The colors that you use sets the tone for perception of your business. All of that color theory and psychology involved in managing your colors and things. I think signage itself is extremely important, if not one of the more important aspects of branding.
It's more of a fidelity question, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see intent.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen your designs, great designs, you do great work. You work out the concept with a customer.
Sure.
And at times it just doesn't seem like that makes it into the real world, right? So
I have a real life experience with this with a nonprofit. They went through the rebranding of their entire rebrand, right? It was great for their website. It was great for their business cards and their letterhead. Their old logo was a perfect square, but their new logo was this very long rectangle. So if you take the old logo off of the building and put the new logo on, you're going to see all this damage, water stains. You'll see a lot of this stuff. And I think part of that is because some marketing managers only focus on certain aspects, say the digital realm. And then when it goes to put that logo or their brand into real life, the part of signage has been missed.
Right.
And so then
carries that at that point. Who usually picks it up from there?
Then it's on the weight of the sign company to figure that out. Right. You have to be a really good solution provider, not only identifying where the downfalls are to that brand management, but then provide solutions to rectify it.
Sure. And I'm sure that gets harder if it's like a multi-region customer, or where they may end up dealing with multiple fabricators, right?
This was 528 locations across the U.S.
Wow.
So every one of those locations had varying signage, right? Some had pan-face signs, some were illuminated, really big. In larger markets like New York City or Chicago, those locations had extravagant signs, where up in New Hampshire they might have had, a piece of dye bond on wooden posts. Sure. So it really varied. We had to provide those solutions for that.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about materials in our conversations, and you've mentioned today some of these things. How important are materials and prototyping? Because it seems like prototyping is becoming, thankfully, more common and more diverse and more demand to bring a quality prototyping session together with the right people in the room.
Right.
So what's your experience with that?
So my formal training, my education is industrial design. So rapid prototyping and things like that. That has been in my vocabulary my 20 years in this business. I think the availability to rapid prototype now is more widely available. So I have a 3D printer in my office. I can draw a sign and have it 3D printed at 50% scale in about 20 minutes, right? So then I can show that client, this is my intent, this is what I was thinking. If it's a small monument sign or if it has some intricate detail, I can actually 3D print that little detail or whatnot. And that provides a lot of value because it's fast, it's cost effective. Instead of, I had another example, and an extremely large client with a global presence who was very conscientious about the colorway of their logo, and it was a gradient. We did several 3/4 size logos for them, and they would check the PMS color at every 10% of the gradient. And we made 6 of them.
Oh, wow.
Until we hit it. Extremely expensive, extremely long time frame, where now you can do rapid prototyping at a smaller scale to be able to get over hurdles like these.
Sure. So how much of a brand's intent do you want to try to have covered through the prototyping phase, or before things start being implemented?
I think as much as possible.
Yeah.
Right? Hitting their specific colors, making sure you use their logo in a very thoughtful manner. I always kind of chuckle when I see a logo on a restroom sign. You know, it's like, it's probably not where you want to use your logo, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think logo usage in an extremely strategic manner is very important. And yeah, so I try to develop that whenever I develop a family of signs.
Sure.
And where that strategic use of a logo will be.
Yeah.
And then back that up with either, say, Bitro, for example, you have that highlight of the pink. I wouldn't come out to you and concept signs that are bright pink. I might have a highlight or, you know, some small detail that would utilize that pop of color, right?
Sure. Yeah. So color has been mentioned so many times so far, right? So color is very important.
Yeah.
We know that brands feel very strongly about their color, right? And there are a few ways to deliver color when it comes to materials. And when it comes to shining light through materials, though, you have a whole different ballgame of color going on.
Absolutely.
There's no real defined standard for it, right? So Lux Capacitor was born to hopefully solve that issue, right? What's your experience? Do you think it's going to be a useful tool for the industry?
It's extremely useful. Again, I allude back to the prototype, right? So you have the availability to quick change out substrates, all kinds of materials, maybe day-night finishes, perforated finishes on a smaller scale.
Sure.
Get that approval from the client because you hit that color, right? And then you can move on to more larger scale fabrication. I think it's a game changer.
Sure. I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No way.
I didn't tell you when you asked me what your logo was for.
That is awesome.
I didn't tell you about this part, but let's take that 7328 off of there.
All right.
I'm just going to shut that one off so we
that is fantastic.
Get blinded.
Yeah.
Right? And just going to put this one in. You want to just put that magnet up back in the corner so it retains it there, right? And we're going to turn it on. Yeah.
That is outstanding.
That's our day-night acrylic dueling. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Thank you. I love it.
So cool.
That is so great, Nick.
Yeah. It was great. And, of course, our team, I didn't make it myself, right?
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to our team for doing such a good job.
Absolutely.
I was so nervous, especially about making your logo, right? Because it's a little detail and intricate.
There are some details, so, yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you're going to have to make your own light box because that doesn't come with the Lux Capacitor.
Oh, man. Okay. I'll have to make my own light box. That's okay. I can do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that was great. Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So, Steve, let's say you had a magic wand and you can instantly create 3 things for a brand to know, all brands and brand managers to know before they approach you to make their project go smoother and easier. What would those 3 things be?
So first and foremost, I would bring in strategic partners that can transform that 2D experience of your brand into the 3D world, into the 3D realm. That'd probably be number one. Number two, working with the right partners to make sure that your brand is on display the way that you would intend it to be, which you so accurately nailed. I'm so flattered. Number three, there are a lot of ways to achieve it, and the vision that you have for your brand should be able to be communicated through your signage and various media.
Great. And downstream, on the other side of things, we have fabricators. What are three things you would magically put into the industry for them to know?
So a lot of fabricators that I've worked with somewhat pigeonhole themselves in how to do certain things, and it's signage is a trade, right? And it's typically learned from those who are extremely experienced in it. And like the phrase, like, we've always done it that way, right? It's like the 5 words that kill business. So learning and opening up to more than one way to do something, right? Like we saw here at the ISA Expo, it was the install workshop, and they had templates for 3-dimensional letters. Each one of those people installed that template differently.
Right.
Every single one of them. Like there are more than one way to do something, and being open and learning about the new technology and more than one way to do something. I think that's extremely important, especially with advancement of technologies and things like the Lux capacitor and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah. So, do you think there should be? Because I do. I think there should be more collaboration earlier on.
Absolutely.
Right. So I would love, like, my ideal scenario is, the brand, the designer, some, capable or incumbent vendors or fabricators at the table with some of the key vendors that will be involved in delivering a project early on before implementation even starts.
Absolutely.
Is that, yeah. So do you think that should happen more often?
100%.
Yeah. How do we do that?
I don't know. I'm trying to bridge that gap. So as someone who mainly handles design, project management, scheduling, and I partner with the people who fabricate and install, I try to bring the most qualified people to the table. But other sign companies, there are several franchises in our industry. I've now brought together on several occasions 2 of those franchises that are like at odds with each other, but this one has an 80-foot boom truck and that one has a JLG lift. This guy needs help with a JLG lift and this lady needs help with an 80-foot boom truck, and I've bridged that gap
to
these 2 franchises that might butt heads and not work together in a collaborative manner. I think more sign companies should be more open to collaboration. We can all help each other. We can all help teach each other.
Sure.
Kind of like what I said about being more open. There's more than one way to do things. All learning from each other. That's another thing that I love about the ISA Expo here is there's so many competitors that are in the same room and openly talk and communicate collaboratively. But then we go back to our offices and, we're competing with each other, where it can be this collaborative environment.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, so I have one last question for you.
Sure.
Based on all of your experience, do you have any tips, tricks, or advice for our industry and the people in it that you can leave us with?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Be open to learning. That's extremely important. 20 years in the industry now, and I'm still learning, right? Materials change, processes change. Again, my formal schooling is industrial design, so I tried to learn all these fabrication processes and how to use all the tools and everything. But now there's new processes. There's new ways to make channel letters. There's new ways to execute a brand. Constantly learn, right? Keep yourself open to those new methods and materials. And no, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that was really good though.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Do you think there's still room for innovation in our industry?
Absolutely. You see it every year. each ISA Expo that I've been to, I have seen something new. This year, I've seen probably about half a dozen brand new things to the industry. Well, this is also the place where companies like to unveil new or exciting new things, right?
Sure.
But yeah, I definitely think that there's new innovation. I mean, the Lux Capacitor itself, I know it's been under development for a while. I remember the original one that you guys showed me a long time ago, and it's come a long way. I'll say that as a product designer. But no, this industry has been evolving since ancient Egyptian times when they were scribing into stone, and those were the first signs.
Wow.
Like, don't be confused. All the way through history, signs have been a very important part of everyone's lives around the world. So, it went from sign painting to vinyl to printing and using different materials to achieve ADA signs, and it's constantly evolving. It's constantly evolving. So again, it goes back to me. I encourage everyone to continue learning and have an open mind to new processes, methods, and materials.
Great. Steve, I want to thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here.
It.
And I love the logo.
Great.
That's so amazing.